So briefly going over the sample characteristics of the different surveys. You can see that there was variation between the sample sizes, some of them a little bit more limited, especially in Brazil, in which only one city was taken from the country. In other cases, like in Indonesia, the sample size is larger. You can see that roughly there was the idea was to have a balance between men and women. There's always a little bit more of women represented in the sample just because of ease of finding them at home. And you can see there the different age groups and the representation in the different samples. The distribution of daily fluid intake, I want to point out two things in these graphs. First, that the mean daily intake or the median daily intake goes up as age goes up. You can see there the three age groups, children, adolescents, adults. So they tend to drink more as age goes up. And second, all the distributions are highly skewed to basically to the low end of the distribution, to the left part of the distribution. In some cases, there's very low intake of fluids, and in very few cases, there's larger intakes. And this is a common feature that we see throughout all of these countries. The total fluid intake, looking here at adults, as you can see, again, there is variation amongst countries. One thing, and I'm going to reiterate this at the end of my presentation, is that this is the same methodology used throughout the different countries. So we cannot think or assign that these differences are because of the method being used. They may be explained by other reasons, including culture, including climate, but certainly not the method which gives us, I will say, tranquility in evaluating the data. Again, as I pointed before, there's variations, and these variations are consistent both in adults as well as in children, in which we see some countries which have a lower intake, some other countries which have a higher intake with the distributions, confidence intervals that you can see here. Using, as I mentioned, EFSA as a comparison for water, for fluid intake, one of the things that really strike us throughout the different surveys is that up to 70% of adults drank less than the adequate intake. I will mention this later in my presentation. We have not done any hydration marker, so we're not saying that 71% of this population may be dehydrated. It's just placing them at a larger risk because they're drinking less than the adequate intake. This is important to understand when we think about the implications, the recommendations, and the potential interventions. Likewise, with children, we found large variations, but between 20 to 94% of children and adolescents were drinking less than an adequate intake. We already reviewed in the morning that for individuals, the adequate intake may be different than the recommendation. Some individuals are at a higher need or a higher risk of proper hydration, but on a population level, this is something that really stands out, and we should be paying attention to this data.